The Cincinnati Bengals just became part of one of the biggest coups in its franchise's history. Not only accepting a big contract, but accepting a big contract from a player that has been declining. Not the same player that he once was. And forfeiting the opportunity not only to take an elite player, but a player that was worth pennies.
What a dumbass!
On the books, that is.
Dumb shit! Dumb shit!
Want to find out how that happened? Stay tuned to find out on this edition of Gridiron Gab Pro Style.
The autumn winds move like the thunderous waves of Neptune's sacred palace. And here, amongst the blackened soil, lies the ragged hands, worn, torn, and callous. They await with cunning and vicious prowess, for the warriors have returned.
Come on, Dutch! Don't do it! Woo! No way! Woo! 85! Crying out loud! You're making me, driving me nuts!
But behold,
Welcome back, Gabbers. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on this edition of Gridiron Gab Pro Style. Of course, you are gabbing once again with the one and only Mr. CeeLo. And Gabbers, I have got to tell you, when you start watching a lot of things that start to take place either days or even just hours before the draft, you know, you're going to get it. We're in that point right now. We're just about on the fringe of starting to see some crazy stuff happen. Well, we saw just that a couple of hours ago. And I can't even say it. I can't even say it. Y'all give me a second. Oh yeah, that's better. That's better. Now, guys, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. And when you look at what the Cincinnati Bengals were able to do on that defense this winter, when they were able to take Brian Cook, former safety, out of Kansas City, take Jonathan Allen, a defensive lineman, and Boy Mafe from Seattle, you know, it looked like the Cincinnati Bengals were on the place and they were about to make some changes. Now, I'm not saying that the player that they got is absolutely horrible in Dexter Lawrence. You know, the last 4 seasons, he's got 123 pressures, which is second only to Chris Jones. But he's 29 years old. Oh, by the way, got too far ahead of myself. Where are my manners? I guess I was just excited. But, guys, I can't say it enough. But this trade was absolutely insane. As the Giants were able to pull the Cincinnati Bengals number 10 overall pick in the 2026 draft, while the Bengals got aging 29-year-old Dexter Lawrence, whom is looking for a new deal. And I don't believe he has any guaranteed money left. So not only do they give up their 10th pick and a possible shot at Caleb Downs, but now you get a player that is looking to add a player that wants to get paid on a payroll that is already it's already in a situation where you don't have that much, and you've already got a depleted defense. Now, granted, you made some significant moves, but now, if you're the Cincinnati Bengals, now you've only got a situation where you can take the 41st and a couple of other picks, and I'm going to be honest with you. Unless I see a draft that is just absolutely off the wall, I don't see where this makes you a better team in a lot of situations, because a lot of your problem is in the secondary, and
That was pathetic.
you got some good pieces there, but a lot of them stay hurt. And realistically, until you can get some of these guys back, to health, this is not going to be a good move for the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to say this. This is a questionable decision. You give up the opportunity to get a guy like Caleb Downs, or you give up an opportunity to say, hey, okay, I could take this pick, trade back, and get 2 for the price of 1. Because there's still some pretty darn good players that you could put, like Traydon Stukes. You've got the defensive tackle market is absolutely insane this year. And I've seen so many mock drafts where these players, especially these tackles, are not valued where they are. And you just look at where these tackles are going, and it's just absolutely erroneous to think that they're not valued as much as they should be valued. It's just absolutely insane that's not the case. That their value is not where they are. Because realistically, even though the league has gone away from running the football, you still have to look at it from the standpoint that you got to stop the run to finish the game, or keep a team from finishing the game. And a lot of the times the Bengals were not able to do that. So now you look at a Cincinnati team, they need safety, cornerback, linebacker. They still need another edge, and they still arguably need another tackle. What I did not understand about this move is you could have gotten, watch what I'm about to show you, Cincinnati fans. You could have easily a tackle in the second round here. Excuse me, not second, third or fourth. You're looking at guys like Dominic Orange, Darrell Jackson, and Caleb Proctor. These are guys that are middle to low third round graded guys. Or you could very well, I've seen it where guys like Caden Proctor, Christian Miller, Lee Hunter, and Caleb Banks have been sitting there anywhere. Look, let me phrase that. I've seen Peter Woods and Caden McDonald still sitting on the board at the end of round 1. And possibly guys like Christian Miller still sitting there possibly at the middle of and late second. Then you look at Lee Hunter and Caleb Banks. I've seen some mocks that mock these guys to 40, to high 30s, low 40s. And they end up staying until the 70th pick, 80th at times. And then you still got guys like Dominic Orange and Darrell Jackson still on the board well into the 4th, 5th round. People don't see defensive tackle for what it is. And listen, look, do I think Dexter Jackson helps? But he's not worth the 10th pick. That's what I'm saying. Not worth your 10th pick. If you could have gotten a guy like Mansour Delane or Jermard McCoy or even Caleb Downs. Do you realize what you've done? And I remember reading an article that said Cincinnati has not traded. They've been very conservative. They're a conservative organization. They really don't trade picks very often. They don't do this. Maybe there's times of changing, but I'm going to be honest with you. This was not how the Giants pulled this coup off, and I called that in my other show. The Bengals got cooed.
Yoo-hoo! I'll make you famous.
Because ain't no way I'm giving a guy with 2 years left on his deal with no signing bonus money up my 10th pick. I'll give you 2 seconds or maybe a second this year. Their 41st pick. I'll give you my 41st pick and a third or a second next year. I ain't giving you no first. Not my 10th pick. And then I gotta pay you? He wants an extension? No. Now, unless they got on the phone with Lawrence and said, hey, look, we want to work you out for these 2 years and then look at and see what an extension is, then we'll do that. But New York's already gave him all his signing bonus money, and the reality of it is, ain't no way if I'm the Cincinnati Bengals, I'm going out like that. I hope they did some homework before this took place. That's all I'm hoping. Now, does it solidify that defensive line? Absolutely. But the biggest problem the Bengals have had is the inability to keep their secondary healthy. They have had so much trouble trying to keep this secondary healthy. It's not even funny. You've got guys like Dax Hill who've been pretty good when he's been healthy. DJ Turner's been absolutely a mauler when he's been healthy. And realistically, you've been waiting around for guys like Miles Murphy to come along. Now you've got Boy Mafe coming in here, and you're still waiting on Isaiah Foskey to develop into the player you were hoping he would develop into. And then, of course, now you got the addition of Brian Cook, as well as Kyle Duggar. And like I said, you could have added Caleb Downs to that safety room, and it would have just been absolutely devastating to anybody. But to give up a 10th pick,
God damn.
Bruh.
you would have been better off giving up a first next year than this year.
Stop the cap.
You some bitches couldn't close an umbrella.
Don't understand this, Bengals fans. I don't understand this. I really don't. Especially given the cap situation that the Bengals actually have at this moment. So I really don't know how this is going to translate here, especially if they're having to make this move. Because, like I said, you got, as you already know, you Bengals fans know, you got Jamar Chase, you got Joe Burrow, and you've got T. Higgins eating up a large amount. And now you're going to throw Dexter Lawrence's money into the fold. And yeah, this is very interesting to say the least. And right now it is showing that the Bengals only have $1.4 million of cap space, so they're going to have to work with that to get under that so they can get their draft pick signed, which now have effectively been dropped down to a second, third, fourth, a fifth, a 2-6 and 2 7s. Bengals fans, you have my sympathies. And I have to give a huge gab out to my brother who is a Bengals fan. You guys got a good line, but you're going to have to keep DJ Turner healthy, and you're going to have to find something with that 41st, 72nd, and 110 pick. And I'm going to be honest with you. Ain't going to be much. You needed one of these big ones. You're going to have to hope Emmanuel McNeil-Warren falls. You're going to have to hope you can trade back up and get a guy like Traydon Stukes. And yeah, y'all got a mess, bro. To say the least, y'all got a mess. Y'all going to have to find a way to trade back into the second, probably the late second, early third, and try to steal some of these guys that are sliding. Y'all going to have to watch the board like a hawk. Unless y'all saw something that was telling y'all something different, there's no way I would have traded this 10th pick to get Dexter Lawrence. I wouldn't. But Bengals fans, let me know what you think. If you would have made this deal, please leave it down in the comments. Say yes. If you wouldn't have, say no and explain why. And if you said yes, please give me an explanation why. I'm okay. I don't care how much you type. I will read it, and I'll read it on the air if I like it. Make sure you guys let me know if you have any kind of comments on this situation. If you think I'm being too harsh on Zach Taylor and the boys, let me know. If you are a Bengals fan, tell me where you're from. And if you like the show, cool. Hit the thumbs up and hit that bell notification so you can get all of my shows in shorts as they drop. But don't forget to subscribe. Go over to the Gridiron Gab Pro Style Facebook page and join the group, as well as adding us as a friend. Don't forget to keep an eye out on the page in the group so you can keep an eye on all the polls that we will be coming up with leading up to the draft. Finally, if you want to chop it up with me in my inbox, make sure you go over to my Instagram at Mr. CeeLo so you can keep up with all of my in-season shenanigans that I will be caught up in. But until the next time, same Gab channel, same Gab platform.
But behold, There is a warm breeze that comes from the west. The blazing sounds of victory fuel their everlasting quest. It is a call to arms, for they are here. An army that has the will to challenge and the will to dare.